Big belly is here. Nothing really fits. That's the reality. Maternity clothes kind of suck. Truth be told, I thought I had at least another 2 to 3 years before we'd have kids. But Vida, a mom's friend, once said, "You make plans and God laughs." Before we get into it today, welcome back to another episode of The Vivi Show. So this space was created to reflect on the messy but beautiful reality of womanhood in today's world. It's a space where we get to untangle the intricacies of personal growth to the dynamic of work and family and the ways we have to navigate expectation, our own, others, and society. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Let's peel back the curtain before I share how I found out I was pregnant. Although I felt that the time to have kids wasn't right at this moment, I did feel a lot of pressure. I was turning 30 soon, and in the back of my mind, I had a few fears that were festering around. Fear that my biological clock was ticking, even though I knew I could have kids later on in life, like at age 33, 35, or 40, or even older. I was afraid that I was going to be too late. Part of this fear was the constant comments from my extended family, both growing up and anytime I would see them, of needing to get married early and have kids and be a good wife. Another fear, and it's more of like another part of this fear, was what society at large really puts on us. After a certain age, women in particular are out of range to have kids, to get married, or insert whatever we women want to do. So we're out of like this pull that we can't be able to achieve. Another big fear of mine that I actually really did not share with a lot of people because it was that terrifying was fear that I could not have kids, that I physically couldn't have kids. And anytime I thought about that, it was absolutely terrifying. This also has to do with the narrative around pregnancy, which I will get to later on. But anytime I thought about this fear, it was so scary. I really tried to not think about it and not share it because I didn't want it to be true. Now, even though I had all of this in the back of my mind, I doubled down on trusting where I was at in life. So let's get into the actual juicy stuff. It's late August 2023, and I've decided that for my birthday, I want to go to the Riviera Maya and stay at Maroma, a Belmont hotel. If you don't know this chain of hotels, please do yourself a favor and book immediately or as soon as you can, because this hotel, Maroma, in particularly, was absolutely magical and out of this world. It's luxe vibes all over it, just how I love it. Back to the story. From the moment we arrive, we are treated like royalty. Lowe's and my mom came with me. Celebrating and the drinking begins. Although I'm so excited of being in this beautiful place, I feel not myself. I'm bloated, I'm tired, and I just feel off. And every now and then, I would look at myself in the mirror and touch my belly and think, could I be pregnant? And in my mind, I'm like, no, this makes no sense. So here's the thing. What my intuition was gently nudging me to realize, my logical, rational brain was completely dismissing, was like, no. So I kept on celebrating and drinking micheladas, out in the beach, soaking up the sun, and just eating the most delicious ceviche and Mexican foods, and just like continuing to do life even though I wasn't 100% myself. So this hotel actually had recently remodeled and just opened, and they had a temazcal. So if you don't know what a temazcal is, it's this ancient ceremony led by a shaman who during the ritual uses hot smoking volcanic stones, herbal infusions, chants, and percussion instruments to like achieve the spiritual and deep connection within our inner being. Lowe's really wanted to try this out. I've already done the temazcal. I was super hesitant. It was so intense when I did it, and I was in vacation mode and I wanted to drink and I didn't want to like go through this like spiritual thing. However, he insisted, and so we said yes. So the day arrives and we start the ceremony. And here's the interesting part. The shaman from the very beginning of the ceremony just asked us, hey, like, are you guys ready for kids? You want to have kids? We both just laughed and we were like, yeah, we do, but like years down the road, we have a couple of years down. Every now and then he talks about how the temazcal is such a fertile place where many women back in the day used to give birth in, and he takes us on this journey through the different stages of life, from being in the womb to death. And it felt like a sort of reparenting, kind of like a like a rite of passage for Lowe's and I without even knowing. So you see, the universe is always guiding us and showing us signs, but sometimes we just don't pay attention to them. Once the ceremony ends, he goes up to Carlos and gives him this like small shell conch, and he's like, when your first son is born, blow on this. And Lowe's and I just look at each other and we're like, this is a little odd. But you know what, like, okay, cool, you know, like, thanks for giving this to us, such a beautiful token. And we just carry on with life like if nothing has happened. So after drinking all the micheladas and tequilas of life, if you don't know by now, I absolutely love micheladas, we arrived back home a few weeks after. It's the 15th of September, and I'm just not feeling good. I'm feeling super exhausted, like a type of burnout I've never experienced before. Felt a little bit dizzy, weird, and I just didn't understand why. I had just gone back from vacation and I'm like feeling worse than better. So I set up a doctor's appointment to make sure like everything's okay. Maybe I'm just deficient in some vitamins or whatever. Then on that morning, September 15th, it was a Friday, I decided to order some food from Uber Eats, and it gets here, I open the bag, and when I open the bag, like this smell hits me like a million bricks. And this is when internally I start to tie it all together. I'm like, I think I'm pregnant. Call a friend and she's like, well, you know, just get tested. You never know. Like, just go and buy a pregnancy test. And for some reason, Lowe's decides to work from home after lunch that day. It's a little rainy and he asked me to go pick him up. So I go pick him up, drop him off, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I just gotta go get some medicine at CVS. I'll be right back. I go to the CVS, go straight to that aisle, and then I see like what feels like 20,000 pregnancy tests. Confused as F. I just pick one that has 3. I rush home. I go into the bathroom. I didn't even say hi to Lowe's. Like, as if I knew I was gonna discover something bad, and I didn't want to tell him. Anyway, I go and do my thing. I pee on the 3 sticks. Wait 3 to 5 minutes. What feels like an eternity though. And then with a blink of an eye, I look at the pregnancy test and it says pregnant, pregnant, pregnant. I'm not gonna lie. This is a moment when I kind of freaked out. All of these thoughts are rushing in. This is not the right time. It's not supposed to happen this way. It's not in this order that was meant to happen. What will people think? What will our parents think? I'm feeling more worried than happy for some odd reason. So I step outside the bathroom, and without being able to control it, I just start crying. I could hear Lowe's walking out from our bedroom with his concerned face. He's like, what's wrong, babe? I'm pregnant. He like takes this deep breath, comes, sits next to me, and just says exactly what I needed to hear. This is a good thing, babe. We will be okay. This is what we've been working towards. Like, we've got this. And I just feel my whole body relax. We then go to the emergency room to make sure that the pregnancy is okay, because I had some type of spotting the week before, what I thought was my period. After some hours and blood work, the nurse comes in and says, you're super pregnant. Our whole life changes in that one moment. We find out we're pregnant and we hear our baby's heartbeat for the very first time. This is the kicker. I have always wanted to have kids, to be a mom, to build a family. And this was that exact moment that I had dreamt of for a really, really, really long time. And yet, I felt like Lowe's and I were 2 teenagers who just got pregnant and were about to disappoint our parents and the world. It just felt like at one point I was scared and had all these fears about being 30 and not being able to be a mom or get married or do all these things. And then now I'm having the opposite end of like, I feel like I'm a teenager and I'm doing something bad and questioning everything that I've done. Just 2 opposing feelings and all mixed up into one. And no, of course, we did not disappoint our parents. They were really happy, shocked, but happy. Even my dad, that is not an emotional guy, doesn't show emotion often, shed a tear or 2. So this is when I realized that I had placed so much of my power on what others thought and on what I thought I was supposed to do, what I thought was the right plan. And without realizing it, subconsciously, I was still under those dogmatic beliefs of being married before having kids, of getting the blessing of not only our parents, but God and the Catholic Church. All of these outdated beliefs that I thought I had overcome suddenly rush in as if I was a teenager. So I had to drop the guilt and own the path that I was in because I loved where I was in. So weeks went by when I felt all of these emotions of being pregnant. And I started to feel during this time like super odd and strange. Like I was really happy and I couldn't believe that I was pregnant. Like I loved being pregnant. But it was also invasive. It felt invasive, like someone is growing inside me. I can't yet see the baby. I can't see the belly. It was super surreal, intrusive, and at the same time really magical, but it has to be perhaps the most mind-blowing experience that I've ever felt, really. And I think up until you experience it or you go through it, there's no way of truly describing it. So finally, after feeling all of the emotions, it was time to reveal the gender. So we hired a decorator, the only person who knew the gender, the sex of the baby. And our whole family, like, they were making bets. 90% of the family thought it was going to be a girl. And they, our moms and our grandmas were like, for sure, this is a girl belly. Like, look at her. I don't know, this old tales that they have. And those would just look at each other and would be like, you know what? As long as the baby is healthy, we're okay. We don't care if it's a boy, if it's a girl, like we're good. And finally, the day arrives where we get to reveal the baby. And here's the irony of life. I didn't really think I was going to do a gender reveal, but one thing is what you think you would do versus what you actually do at the exact moment. I didn't think I wanted to do a gender reveal because I was just like another expense and like, what's the point? But when you're pregnant and for your baby, you want to do absolutely all the little corny and amazing little things. So the day arrives when we get to reveal the gender, and our whole family is either wearing blue or pink, depending on the team that they want to represent. The decorator had created a cloud and she hung it up on the restaurant. The goal was for Lowe's and I to pull on the strings, and when we did, it would open up with the confetti and balloons, revealing the gender, whether it's pink or it's blue. But in our Lowe's and Vane fashion, we pull on the strings, and instead of the most beautiful reveal ever with the confetti and balloons dropping down on us, the whole cloud, the whole box dropped down on us. Well, technically on Lowe's, because I stepped back, the whole cloud was on the floor. However, as you can see, my excitement cannot be contained, and I am just like in this ecstatic moment of like laughing and crying because I saw blue confetti and balloons on the floor. So yes, we have a baby boy on the way. In these 5 seconds where everything just happens, people can't believe it. Rose and I look at each other and we're laughing. One, because the cloud fell on us and it didn't go to plan. So another blooper type of reveal. It's just us. And two, the night before, I had dreamt of that very exact reveal. Our little baby boy was sending us sweet messages the night before. If there's one lesson that was more present than ever, is trusting my intuition and being so in the moment that we get to see the little signs of life. The logical parts of ourselves enmeshed with fear can be so loud. So we grip on the plans and on the shoulds without even questioning them or being flexible to anything else happening in life. Our intuition, on the other hand, is gentle and soft. And it's like this gentle whisper that is nudging us and guiding us along the way. It's never scary. It's never alarming. It's time for the Prego update. So currently, I'm 30 weeks pregnant, and baby boy is healthy and growing and kicking lots. He's a very active baby boy. Overall, the pregnancy has been really beautiful. It's been a magical experience. I really can't say anything else other than that. We don't have a name yet. We have one contender, but if you have any favorites, send them our way. We may use them if we like it. And although we're so excited for him to be here, we're taking it one day at a time. We're enjoying every step of the way. We do have a birth plan, which is for another episode. So, as the saying goes, you make plans and God laughs. So here's to creating our plans, but allowing each moment and experience to be just as it is. If you've stayed this long, thank you, thank you, thank you. I invite you to subscribe and like and or follow The Vivi Show.